This conference will now be recorded.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. What about motion for the minutes?
I read them.
Are you making a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes from June 28th of 2022.
A second.
Moved and seconded. Approve the minutes as presented for June 28th. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Other comment?
Wait, you're not public. Do we have any public?
I'll let anyone, she would like to go first.
No, she's gonna
She's got
present,
present.
so go ahead.
Okay, all right.
We'll let you go ahead.
Thank you very much.
Please do.
Madam Chairwoman, members of the board. I'm here to, in the capacity of city manager, I'm here to report some changes that I've made. Jaylene has been reassigned to other duties. Yes.
We don't like that.
And so what we need to decide is who is going to take the minutes, who's going to do the minutes. So I know you're giving me that look, but there are some personnel issues that she has been removed that I cannot discuss. All I can tell you is that will be reassigned other duties. And so we need to decide
Are you gonna replace her?
if I can find someone to replace her as city employee, yes. My recommendation is someone from the board can take those minutes.
Today?
Yes,
Or every time?
every time, if possible.
I like,
Now, so that's that, okay, so the city will continue to post when the meetings will take place, like we did in this meeting. And I would recommend that the committee would decide the criteria and how much they would award.
Okay.
I would prefer that, instead of the city coming up with a point system, I would recommend that the committee decides on the
That's
allocation.
how we used to do it.
You do. I would prefer that, and then the recommendation would go to commission or.
Commissioner, aye.
But I think that would be appropriate if the committee, the 5 committee members would decide. And for example, if we're looking at this budget, if I'm reading this budget correctly, we have 12,887 to allocate. Is that correct?
No,
Okay, all right. But let's just say, for example, we have the
Yeah.
12,887. Then the committee would decide
right, how we're gonna spend it,
how you're gonna spend it.
or
Who-
set what recommendations we're gonna give to the commission.
Correct.
Okay.
And then it would be my responsibility to present that to the commission and let the commission know, this is the lodgers tax board, this is the recommendation that they've made. And we move forward on that.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, second quarter obligation. So this isn't taken into account. We haven't added in,
I think we're gonna go over the.
oh,
Yes.
okay.
So my 2 recommendations, if it's possible, if a board member could take the minutes, if that's possible. And then the committee would come up with the criteria on how they're going to distribute the funds to the different
Because it's not on
organizations.
the agenda. So I
And
don't.
I know that's
Is there
just
actually on
public
the
comment,
agenda?
so.
So for today, Leslie, will you take it?
Yes, I will take that.
Thanks. And then we'll decide on the next meeting, we will vote on who will take the minutes because we don't have that on
It's
our.
not on our
I
agenda.
understand, I understand. Okay. And at this time, I stand for any questions that Madam Chairwoman or any members of the
Okay, is
committee
that
have for me.
the finances now we can go over?
Is that what's next?
No. Okay, event holders, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Disbursement of lodgers tax funds, yes,
That's
And also, here's another point. Khalid, Farouk.
Yeah.
Never met him.
You never seen?
Never seen, never met her.
He did come to some meetings before, but not in a while.
That was a question I was gonna ask. Is he ever here? Because I've never even seen him.
I got it.
So I just wondered how active he is as far as.
We didn't meet for 2 years.
I never saw him before that.
Right, he did come,
Never saw him.
but not very long.
Okay.
So that,
And
that
we
the
just
city
did go look at it
commissioners,
still.
the city
I'll
commissioners
call
need to appoint somebody else and remove. That's up to y'all.
So we can either, would we want to do that as an action item next meeting?
No. it's
I would
not-
reach out, to him first and see if he's interested in staying on the board and if he's gonna be present. Because if he's not, you're always one short.
I can give you his number, but
Do you want me to call him?
Yeah.
I can, I'm the wonder. I think it says if they miss 2 meetings, you have the right to do it. without-
yeah, it's 575
I think it's 3, Liz,
70
but I'm not sure.
9128. I don't know that because it's real estate. Let's get that.
Yeah, it's kind of quick moving.
Okay.
It's him.
Yeah.
I haven't done one y'all, so I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but anyway, let's go. Okay, you're in. My name is Tammy Neal, I'm from Artesia. I am currently in, doing events with Yucca Blossom. And I've done 2 in September in Artesia, in April and December. I was approached too by my group of girls to Lovington because that is no longer here. And I explained to them that if I had 50 people sign up within a week, that they were interested in it, that I would seek further. So I did, and within 2 weeks, I had my 50. So, I mean, I was like, okay, I'm supposed to do this.
So this is 50 vendors.
Well, I had 50 commit with me. So I contacted Brandy at the Lee County Fairgrounds and got all the prices and the layout of the building and everything, and I can have 104 vendors in there. And as you see right here is my little book that I have. And these are vendors that have already paid for and are coming. I've got 60 people walking in. And I've got probably about 20 of them works of invoicing them and everything else. I believe in, you know me from Wildwood Service, that I believe in you have to have advertisement. If you don't have advertising, you're not going to have the success. I did this in Eddy County and was blessed because we had 4,500 people come to my last show in September. And I shared with the lady, I'm very particular with what I have. And this is my flyer from my last event. And this other one is called Holly Jolly Christmas. And with that being said, you can't have an event without having advertising. So I put together the application to do that. And my goal is to bring it back every year. I do host 5 a year. I do 3 in Artesia and 1 in Lovington, and I've just signed a contract with Carlsbad. So I'm just looking for that. I can tell you that I have 25 people already, my vendors that are booked for the hotel and that come for the end. So we're bringing people here. A lot of my vendors are from Carlsbad, and so they have to come and stay Friday, Saturday, and then they leave. So that's bringing them here. And of course, you know, with them eating and everything.
Right, gas.
Right, so that's what I do, and, you know, I'm looking at doing it every year as a given, and, you know, maybe increase it more if we need to. But that's.
Okay. Liz, did you have a question?
He's going 3 to me. Okay. I was like, hey, you got that from.
She's making me that thing.
Did you have any way of knowing of those 4,500 people that came through? How many were from out of town?
As a matter of fact, I do. And I have even what we did is we set up a welcome center at the very. And I'm gonna modify it, I'm gonna kind of modify it because there was some questions about where you live and then, but we kind of counted it. I can tell you that, at my last show, because I have helpers that actually said at the Welcome Center, and I don't want to be pushy as far as he's doing this, but what I did in Artesia is I did $25 gift card and told them, if you fill this out. But it was really cool because we used 105, Kevin B, and he talked about it at the breakfast, and it was really funny because everybody was telling us, I heard it on, because I asked them, how do you hear about me? And they say, I've seen it on Facebook, I've seen it on this or this. But a lot of people came from Cumming, Texas, and they heard about it.
Really?
And I was like, wow,
From B1, W105?
yes.
Really?
And I advertised,
I can't get it.
really, well, I advertised with KSB, or the brand, and I did 105, and then I did Roswell stations. I didn't get to put this on my lodger's application. I just got the email back from Carlsbad Local. That helped out tremendously. They put a flyer in the Carlsbad Local that people get. But I used Hobbs, and it goes everywhere. But I was really impressed with it. And so what we did is we just kind of tallied these up. But what I'm going to do is just like the number, people were putting their phone number on it, and they were like, I don't want my number. And I'm like, how many people did you have? But then we had that on there. So we just kind of do that. And that's probably what I'll do. I might ask the board about purchasing T-shirts. And I was going to wear my shirt, and I forgot it. We're at the Roswell Fair. But it's a really cool shirt we have. I have my own, just lost who it is, my graphic. It's the Yucca Blossom, it's a Yucca. And we want to give those out to people. And at that time, we will say, we need to know, or you don't get a T-shirt.
Right.
That's what,
So, but my thing is heads and beds in Flemington.
that's what we're looking at.
Yeah.
Heads and bids are,
So one comment I had on your thing, and I love the fact that you're actually trying to do a little, get the information on how many people actually have come in and stayed in our hotels, is that I would suggest if you could put on there, is it a Lovington hotel, or are we looking at Hobbs Hotel, or some other kind of lodging? So we can kind of get an idea and track, are they staying in Lovington? I mean, I know we have limited number of hotels, but we do have hotels here, and that's how we fund lodgers tax. But then
one, it could
we
also
all
be
have RV parks, RV.
RV parks through church lodgers tax.
Correct, for short term.
If they're staying at a lodge, if they're.
Well,
staying-
the fairgrounds is letting, I think it's $35. I need
But
to
they
have it.
still charge, they should still charge.
Yeah, I think they still charge for,
They still collect the tax on short-term rentals under 30 days. So we still can capture that impact.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just have their name, and then where it says number, I'll probably put on there which hotel did you say that.
Yeah,
I can
and
do
see
that.
if we can identify, are they going over to Hobbs and staying, are they staying here? You know, what kind of capture we're getting for it. And that's the only suggestion. I always love getting the impact so we can kind of get the data and know how the event is going and how it's growing, so on and so forth.
Well, kind of tell you where I'm at is, my husband and I have been praying about this event for 10 years. And it's really crazy because for 10 years, and we had some property out at our house, and we were going to do it out, pop-up tents and stuff. But the insurance was unbelievable for us to have where they crossed across the highway. I was liable if somebody got killed, and I was like, I'm not going to do that. So we were coming home, and I tell you this because we were coming home in August, the first part of August, from a show, because we travel and do it. And I said, you know, we got to do this. People are wanting to get out. And he looked at me, he says, call a fair board. I'm like, why didn't you think of that years ago, you know? So I called them, and this was the beginning of August. I had 47 vendors within 2 weeks, and I was completely full. My first show was 47 vendors. My second one went to 60.
So you have this business insurance.
Oh, yes, I have event helper. And, but my second event was 64, and then I was 87. And then this last time I had 114, counting everybody outside. And it's just, it's amazing.
So here's another thing that's, these two are gonna they're gonna roll their eyes. So I did research the events coming in. So I did look on your website and stuff like that. And a big important part of bringing revenue into the community, even though it doesn't directly affect lodgers tax, is that we look for vendors that come in that have their CRS accounts.
Yes, no, and that's on my.
So it is not on your application.
It should be on my application.
I didn't see it on the website.
I'll show you, this is the one right off the website. And what I tell them is a lot of times, I'm not responsible for that.
I know, we're not responsible, we're not the
But it is
GRT
on my,
police.
it is on my application.
Okay, so like this one, you're gonna go and get this
Yeah,
text
they're
number.
supposed to be bringing them to me.
Okay, so you ensure that everyone has their GRT number.
Their CRS number.
Well, it was CRS, now it's
Yeah.
GRT, now it's BTIN.
Yeah,
so-
yeah. So, you know which number it says, 01020.
The one that you do on the every 25th of the month.
Yes, that.
But I would see like this one right here, this lady, it's on here. Most of them have it on there, and I can show you this one as well. I just tell them, and this is what I was advised by the state of New Mexico, that as long as I put that on my application, when they come to their booth and they say, where's your CRS, they're liable, not me. Because
That is
see,
true.
this is on, she's just so happened to be getting one. I got it wrong there. But
So that one doesn't have it, this one doesn't have it.
yeah, she put it right there. She's got it there. Oh, this one, this is the next
Right.
one. But for the most part, they do. You know, it's, because I have to pay my CRSs. So I do have that on there, so.
Yeah, with your soda wagon, you pay, and also, as running having the show, you pay.
Yes.
Right. And I know now that we're destination, well, we have been destination based for a long time, but every little bit helps
Absolutely.
the whole community, putting it back in the system, that kind of thing. So,
And I mean,
you guys rolling your eyes at me?
No,
No.
not this time.
No, but I mean, I try to make sure emphasize that, because a lot of people say, and I tell them, just go to New Mexico New Mexico and get it. I mean, it's free. You don't have to pay anything. So,
Well, you.
But then you gotta buy.
well,
Business,
to buy.
Yeah.
you have them all.
Right,
So theoretically, if you don't have it, you're not in business.
right.
So,
Yeah, and I mean, the lady that I spoke to at the taxation and revenue, she said, I'm liable. If it's not on my application, then I'm assuming that that's my responsibility to pay. I'm like, no.
and so maybe I just overlooked it, but I was looking at your website and I did not see it on the online application.
Okay, well, that's crazy. 'Cause, I mean, these come strictly on there.
So I probably overlooked it.
Yeah, because I'm real strict about that.
So here's some questions I have about the event request. So you have not done any advertising yet?
Not for this show, I haven't.
Okay.
And it was so close. I just finished my September one. I have done it with them. I did get lodging training from Manning County.
So we are basically a advisory board. So even though we advise and
It
talk
would have to
through
go.
it has to go through the city commission because they are kind of the ones that actually.
The next meeting, which would be the 10th, right?
Mm,
It would
Monday.
be at the last meeting in October.
So it's not even going to be until the end of October.
Mhm.
So
So what,
the earliest that you would even know if you got any funding at all would be the 24th, which is 2 weeks before the event.
that's not gonna work.
So that's what I'm wondering is what kind of backup plan do you have?
I don't have a backup. I mean, the only thing that I do, because I'm just now getting started, and so everything that I make, I mean, I don't make any money off of it. So what I do is I pull a loan with my banker, just like I did this last show in September, and I turn in all my receipts, get all that stuff, and they cut me a check and then I'm paid off. But I mean, if you don't have, I guess each county's different, because like Eddy County, I went in, talked to them, and they said, you're granted this much, and as long as I provided them information.
We're not the
You're
last
not.
line. Mm-mm. We're just an advisory board to the city commission. They have to approve it and they may not approve it, they may approve it. They may go in and approve it for a different amount. So just to let you know that even if we give our recommendation to the city today on lodgers tax funding, there is no guarantee that that funding will be available until after the 24th.
Of October.
Correct.
So next meeting Monday's already been posted and the agenda, so we can add something to it.
Because I have to, because I do it like 2 to 3 weeks before.
Well, that's the money.
So
What days?
It's the fourth
and fifth. So that gives you, let's say it gives you 2 weeks. So realistically, if you were awarded whatever amount of money in 2 weeks, what could you possibly do for advertising for 2 weeks for the show?
Well, just like on the application, like W105, they do, there's a little bit of breakfast club that I have to call Kevin.
So you're saying that you could do some radio with like Kevin B or Tom A or something like that.
Right.
Okay, so
So
you
those
could not do a billboard, you could not get the t-shirts in time. Really, the 2,500 for the news signs just seems like it wouldn't happen. Posters.
For the 25 for the Hobbs News Sun, it can't happen. All I have to do is just call him, and if it's 2 weeks prior to that, he'll make that work, because he's already got my flyer, he's just waiting on me to say, go ahead.
So I would. Okay. All right. So the billboard, no. Facebook is probably, I don't know about.
Now, like the t-shirts, I don't mind,
Really, you're asking for 14, a little over 14, and you only have 2 weeks, and it may not even be guaranteed. So I guess we'll have to discuss what we're thinking. Okay, that was all my questions.
Anybody else have any questions?
so
We'll decide.
We'll decide here in 2 minutes.
okie dokie.
We have to listen to all.
Just hang loose. You're up.
Yeah, you're right.
What questions do you have aside from what I submitted? It's the exact same proposal you saw at the last quarterly.
So
New name though, towards through time.
I have a question on your not paying attention day.
Yes.
Okay. So you had one,
Yes.
how'd it go?
Terrible.
Okay, why did it go terrible?
There was a football game, yes, can I finish? The game was decided in July and I booked everything in May. So even the event that we're having next week and the week in November and the one in December, all of this was booked back in May. So I can't change my acts, I can't change my stage, I can't last minute swap around any of my dates because they have already been booked with deposits.
So let me ask you, the dates that are coming up, is there any?
The one that's coming up, there's no game. I haven't heard back from Coach G on the one in November. There is not one in December unless they make state.
Or it could be basketball.
So are these acts?
Basketball games are only on Fridays, so they're Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yeah, I think they are.
Boys are on crap.
So are the bands that you're booking, because I know one has a roller skating rink.
Yes, the one
Okay,
next
which
week.
I love the roller skating rink.
Next week.
So, you like the roller skating?
I do, so even though I'm not in now,
No, I'm not either,
but
but I love it. So are the bands that you're booking, are they for a younger crowd?
They're a variety. So the first one was a grunge hair band rock tribute.
Is that the one coming up?
The one that's coming up is actually Spanish. His name is Chris Rowe. He is for a younger generation. The one in November is a Vicente Fernandez impersonator, which he's the equivalent of George Strait to the Hispanic community. And he's actually a really big name. He travels out throughout the entire US.
He's like a tribute.
He's a impersonator. So
Oh,
you'll
okay.
see like him. He has like some jokes and like some stand-up to go along with it. And on that one in particular, we're actually going to be partnering with the Spinal Chamber on it to get some additional, hopefully, marketing and assistance through them as well.
so he impersonates Vicente.
Yes,
Okay.
and he's really good. Like you should look
I
up
heard-
on
I heard
YouTube.
you say
He's really good. The one in December is going to be a craft show in theory. It's going to
What's
be,
the air quotes?
well, because they're not
Oh,
craft
boy.
players, they're pop-up vendors, yes, I will be requiring a CRS, just like we did for Smoking on the Plaza. And it's going to also be featuring local bands for the one in December. We did our live in downtowns with local bands, and we actually had a good turnout because they would bring their families. So each one of those had about 20 to 30 people, and it's all of those bands on one night. So we're expecting a little bit better of a crowd.
All downtown, around the square.
That one, the one in November and the one in December will actually take place inside of the town hall at the Lee County Museum.
All right. And you gotta update them on Tours Through Time.
And then Tours Through Time, that is a collaboration we're doing with the Lee County Museum. Not Making Shindig is a grant that was funded through Maddox. It was a total of $65,000, or $35,000 that we requested for the Not Making Shindig. When Maddox awarded us that $35,000, they actually reached out to us and asked us to participate in events with the museum. And so they gave us an additional $10K for that, to really be able to work with them. So we ended up with a full total amount of $45K to put on 5 events with live entertainment on each of them. We have been working with the museum. We're super excited. They're going to be doing a scavenger hunt. They have items that you can find or locate in the museum properties. Afterwards, you will get, if you complete the scavenger hunt, you will get a $5 gift certificate to go to Cornerstone Creamery. So that's also going to be investing in keeping dollars here locally. We are also working with Trinity Farms. They are a previous candidate of the food truck program, and they were the ones that will be set up as a vendor. We also are working with the Lovington Library to provide Rango as a free PG movie to the kids, and we are going to be adding a cotton candy stand for free cotton candy.
Okay, and what is this?
That one is a day after the Not Making Shindig. So you have 2 full days of fun activities to do in downtown.
I hope you don't tell the museum you're having free cotton candy. They may not care for that.
They can walk out with it.
Exactly.
I will make sure that they get it on their way out.
Okay.
I was just hoping it would attract more little kids, and it would only be during the movie time,
Yeah.
so like. And
Don't get me wrong, I love cotton candy. It doesn't, it doesn't like me, but
I don't like sugar.
I love it.
Oh, that's different, but I still want to take those anymore.
She's, yeah, so yeah, we have cotton candy for kids.
Okay.
And so those are 2 events. The Not Making Shindig, I am requesting funds for all 3 of them, right, that are coming up. My backup plan for the October one is that we do have some pre-budgeted funding already allocated for that. The same thing for the museum, we have pre-allocated some funding out of that Maddox budget that we got.
Thank you.
Is that it?
And has questions.
Yes,
Has questions.
yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
sorry.
ma'am.
I just have a question. Okay, we give Main Street Chamber and EDC this monies. So far, they've each got, well, museum don't do that much, but the Main Street, they got $8,750, right?
No.
Now they have 4375.
The 8750 is part of our annual contract. and
Obligation is what we're,
Yeah.
what is 100. Okay. In that obligation, can I be noted about, what is that obligation?
The contract's online under city.
Okay, but it's to advertise the city and events going around the city, right?
No, it's to support. Okay, when I first started on lodger's tax.
Yeah.
It's 20 years.
It's definitely been at least 7.
Well, how could it be 20 when you're only like 40?
Don't even go there.
Anyway, when I first started on lodger's tax, the chamber got $3,000 a quarter. Just every quarter. That was just given to the chamber.
For visitors.
So then, yes, for the visitor center. And then it rocked along for years like that. And then when we did, started doing where we rated each one, we gave a score on, you know. We didn't give any money to the Main Street or
EDC.
EDC. Anyway, not, it's still just the chamber's money. So then we increased the chamber some. And then we did the ratings and we would give them what they asked for advertising. Their requests. Then James decided that we were going to change that and which is fine. I mean, and give each organization half of what the city had committed to the organization, then the other half would come out of lodger's tax. And so we did that. We approved that. And that's only been going on now, maybe 5
3
years,
years.
3,
It's
4,
been going on longer than that.
or something like
Longer
that.
than 5,
Okay.
but
But not the whole time.
Right.
So this, because lodger's tax is a pass-through tax, it doesn't obligate the city's general fund, which helps the city. And if we had to pull the whole 35,000 out of the city, we probably wouldn't have gotten anything. But since we had lodger's tax through this whole, whatever you want to call it, that the city's going through, it helped to have that half come out. Does that make sense?
So
Does that answer your question?
In each organization has professional service agreements, and the contracts are loaded under the public records on the city website. So each organization has certain requirements that they have to fulfill according to the agreement to get funding every quarter. Now,
We
the
have an
lodger's
MOU.
tax funding for like the chamber was dedicated for the chamber's activities to be the first base into the city, visitor center, the brochures that were out and stuff like that. That's how they got the lodger's tax. That's how they got half their funding from lodger's taxes, something. Same thing with Main Street, because Main Street has certain dedicated activities for economic growth and promotions, her things that she does within her boundaries, but half the funding from lodger's taxes because she has things that have to be done according, right.
Events like
So-
downtown.
Lovington is a prime example. Cleanup Lovington completely goes outside of the district. It has nothing to do with what our goal is, but because it is required under our professional service agreement, we do work within that.
Right, so there are some requirements that go along with the lodger's tax fund.
We have an MOU. Main Street has one, and the chamber has one.
Well, they
EDC
actually,
has one.
they don't have MOUs, they have actual contracts.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
But we also have an MOU.
Okay, does that answer your
It
question?
gets closer.
Okay. And the state requires us, not us, Main Street, we put on a different hat, requires Main Street to be funded by a government entity of 35,000 based on our population. And if we're not, we do not get to have a Main Street program here. It has to be funded.
All right, so we're funding that and then giving him more funds.
Yeah, well, that more funds is for the events.
The
The
more
other one
funds
is for,
actually
that's for
go
advertising.
directly to our businesses. So we do spend money on the different radio stations like No Mark, so that extra money doesn't actually come to Main Street. It's going back into the economy and it's going back to the community. So all of the things that you're going to be funding today isn't additional funds for the organization. It's additional funds for marketing purposes.
It's only used for marketing, the additional.
So
funds.
looking at the financial report, it still says we are at a deficit from the budget, is that correct?
I'm looking at this
I'm looking at 11,000.
and it looks like there's some issues, correct?
Correct. Because I'm looking, I have the financial
Hey, we didn't-
report
They didn't use any last time.
now, but they were down 21,000 and this time they're down 11,000 and commission did not approve it because they were down. So here they have cash balance 627.31. First quarter obligations, I'm looking at the first, I brought both of them.
Mhm.
So there's some differences. But you still have a deficit.
What is NMSA requirements for events per budget?
That's what they budgeted. And then they went up. So you went up on your NMSA requirements from 32 last quarter to 38,662 this quarter.
And I still don't understand.
So the budget went through some
What
adjustment?
is NMSA?
It's in Michigan State.
I think what we need to do next week is sit down with Tracy.
Okay.
My recommendation is members of the board or one or two members, myself, and we sit down with Tracy so we can make sure that this.
Money we got.
Yeah, because I'm looking at, see, there's so many disconnects between the two, one quarter to the other.
I can understand there's money today to allocate. And I think my recommendation is to allocate funds to the organizations. But with that said, we need to meet with Tracy on Tuesday.
How much we want to give away and see if we got enough to do it.
Yeah.
Does that work? We want to give up and then have a meeting with Tracy sometime next week.
I'm thinking Monday if
Oh,
possible.
Monday would work.
Monday would be great. We can meet with
Monday would work.
Tracy on Monday.
Okay.
Monday's a holiday, y'all are closed.
Oh, no, it wasn't.
I'll propose on Monday.
Monday?
No.
Jaylene sent out an email saying that Monday was a
No,
holiday.
they have a commission meeting Monday. They can't be closed.
She said something else?
She said something out about Monday being a holiday.
It's Columbus Day.
Columbus.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
everybody.
but
Kitchen is-
it's- We're not closed for it because we use that holiday.
Because we use that extra day for Christmas.
Yeah. Our
Extra
church,
Thanksgiving.
Because the college isn't closed Monday.
everything we did it for Thanksgiving and then another holiday we used for Christmas.
Okay, we should just-
Thanks, post office.
Like I go to them on Monday
Yeah.
anyway. So Monday, what time would be a good time?
Let me meet with her. I'll text her later on or tomorrow. And we'll schedule a meeting on Monday. How's that sound? And I think that, so we can just,
Yeah, I just can't do it Tuesday.
we can make adjustments to this. I think that would be a good thing.
Okay, all right, so basically, we don't have to, this by quarter, no. So we know that this is obviously a late quarter, nothing was approved last quarter, but we know usually the third and fourth quarter are heavy quarters because we have requests coming in for, yes, everyone gets that little lull, but then February, March, stuff starts picking up.
Yeah.
We don't have to spend all the money this quarter. And again, right now, it looks like we have a deficit again. So,
Possible.
correct.
The second quarter obligation, y'all didn't approve that. So that money's not going out.
So
Is that correct?
it is going out,
Yeah, it's
except
already
for the second quarter, yes, that money's going out. So
Yeah, see, 'cause we're
I
good
thought they
to-
didn't approve it.
They just did not approve the event holders additional funding for the first quarter last year. the last
Yeah.
commission.
The last-
I'm with you. Yeah, okay.
He wasn't there, but we approved for monies for the thing, but the commissioner decided no, because we only had a certain amount of money in there and they didn't want to run low
Mhm.
or no,
Right,
so they didn't approve any of it to spend.
okay, so let's talk about, let's do Main Street, not vacant Shindig. She's asking for 5250 and it's for 3 events. What do you guys think?
Well, how much, okay, what are we limiting ourselves to?
You don't have to limit yourself, you can decide whatever
Yeah.
amount based on the financials for,
Okay, so we
but remember, you don't have to do 20,000 this quarter,
No, we need to keep it down a little lower.
because then you could have the money going into the third and fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And
We have
Again.
cameras.
The problem with the commission, not with the commission, but it showed a deficit. And so they looked at it and said,
No.
there's a deficit. We're not going to do any event holders approvals. So that could happen again this next time.
There's the chamber should have brought something for the black parade and stuff already too.
So
Yeah. Oh, sorry. What do you at?
So how much do you think for not making shindigs?
Mine's 15.
Mine's 3,000.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's 3 events, 3 different dates, 3 bookings, 3 different events going on.
Okay.
So. All right, so Lovington Main Street's Tours Through Time with the museum and all that.
7,650.
You know, I like partnerships.
But aren't they getting a lot of money from someone else? No, it's on that one too.
No, they're just getting, and that's not on here, they're just, well, yeah, they're getting 4,500. Is that correct, Martin?
I'm sorry?
Are you getting 4,500?
For the
From
cameras.
So not for advertising, no. We got no money for
It
advertising.
says professional performance fee, 4,500. Is that correct?
Yeah, it actually ended up being more. Their performance fee was actually 6K.
But that is, but Maddox is
Yes,
paying
and
that?
Maddox is
Okay,
paying for
so you're looking at. So.
My stage came in at 6K.
Okay.
Is Maddox paying for that too?
Yes.
Oh, you have to have another stage?
Well, not the sound and electrical and a sound technician. Not a stage.
So advertising, she's asking for 3,150.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. All right, now, Yucca Blossoms, Holly Jolly Holidays.
I
Okay,
think that's exciting that we're getting that back.
yes, but we're on a time crunch because we only have 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's what I'm
And
thinking.
we're not, we can't go with 14.
So what if we did 75?
How are you figuring 7,500?
Well, I took off the t-shirts and the billboards
Okay.
and,
So that's, wait, hold on, is that 2280? All right. I think I would go with I think I would focus my efforts to Lee County only, with only 2 weeks.
yeah, I didn't count the Artesian Roswell
Okay.
stuff because I thought if you had to close period, you could do local quicker than,
Right.
But if you do some stuff over around Plains, Denver City, Seminole.
But you can't
Well,
really,
Todd's new today.
Yeah,
they
that's
covered
true.
that, so.
Yeah.
so really, if you're looking at, I mean, she's gonna be not just the money, but she's gonna be on a time crunch. 250 posters save the day, that's gonna be hard to distribute quickly.
Well, I distributed 300 in Artesian 4 days.
good.
So,
I mean, and then what I did is when I gave when I put the big poster up, I gave them about 25 of those. And I told them, I said, if you need more, call me. Well, they were calling me like in 2 days.
who did you give the 20?
Well, I gave them to the businesses in Artesia. So what I had planned on doing with the flyers here is I've already made contact with my Hogs and Lovington vendors in Carlsbad, and I'm going to go to those towns that week, 2 weeks before and get them out. So,
So.
I mean, I can get the posters out. I have to go put them on cars.
So what's the difference between the flyers and the posters?
And I wish I would have brought one. This is the posters that the businesses get that we hang in the windows. But the posters are 5x7s and they have on
I
the
mean,
front side.
flyers.
flyers, they were hard. I wish I had brought one, I forgot to, but, and I ordered those on Vistaprint, and the front of it was this part of it, and then the back of it was this. And so they were just a 5x7, pretty thick postcard, and I went to Walmart just to handle the people and said, this is, because I mean, I'm gonna get out and football games. Well, and that's what we've been doing too. But I mean, my vendors, I tell them, if you want this to be successful, you gotta help us, and they handed them out too. And I did 750 of those, and I don't have any. Lovington only did the 2 Thursdays prior to it. So, I mean, we can do that, just do the Lovington and the Hobbs one. Because Hobbs transmitted to Kermit,
Yeah,
Kevin B. I mean, he.
Okay.
What were you thinking?
Oh, I'm good with the 7,500 or
I think
6.
that's too high. I think we should go 5.
5. Which leaves.
That's $11,150 that we're distributing. Do you want to go lower?
No. I don't want to go any lower.
no,
Right.
so we're always 6.
5. For a total of $11,150 requested.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I make the motion that we distribute to the Yucca Blossom Holly Jolly Holiday $5,000 to the Main Streets downtown tours for time, $3,150. And for lodgers tax, Main Street, October 14th, November 11th, and December 9th. No vacant shingles, $3,000.
A second.
So moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion or questions?
So you're gonna request 5,000, but I have to.
Mhm.
Again, I just want to tell you that it would be the city commission's decision on the 24th to approve.
Mhm.
We're just the advisory board. Okay. So, like I said,
I'll be there, not trying to be nice to them, make them understand.
yeah, I just wouldn't want you to go out and spend 5,000 right now on the understanding that it has been approved because we still have to go through.
Right.
commission.
Well, I mean, like I said, I called Hobbs News that day, and, that I wanted to advertise it, and I paid it right then, and they were waiting on me to call, so I mean, I can do that. I mean, I'll just tell them this is what I have, and just break it up between, but I need to clarify, because in the way that I do it, so if, let's say that I'm approved of whatever, and, or at least the 5,000. So when I bring my receipts in, I'm just gonna bring a copy of the paper and a tier page of whatever.
So you'll have, there's a report listed, like a evaluation report. So I love the idea that you're doing this. So if you can get us some numbers and some figures to put in the report, you'll write it all up. You'll have copies that the receipts were actually paid.
Right.
So your check that's gone through, or your credit card receipt showing that it was actually paid to the Lovington Leader with the out placement. So you have to gather all that, submit the packet, and then the city has, I believe, up to 30 days. You have 30 days after the event to submit, and I think Liz was got that. Do you have that on? it's 30 days after the event and then they pay 15 to 30 days after.
I mean, and that's basically what I do with Eddy County is that I have a copy of the paper that they actually send to me. It's a tier. And it shows how many days it ran, and then I have my invoice and then my cancel on my bank statement.
Correct. You'll need the same information.
But you want numbers and stuff for us to figure that out?
We have an evaluation form on our,
We have an evaluation form, but
are we
I'd
still
love
utilizing
the,
that?
but I'd love the information on where they're staying. Are they staying in Livingston, staying in Hollis,
Right.
staying in Irvine? How many how many people attended? Because it helps us.
Right. Okay, I can do that.
Anything else?
If I may, as a public comment time.
Hang on, hang on.
It's over.
I have a motion on the table. So we need to vote on the motion, unless you're talking about the motion.
No.
Okay. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
This is just a quick comment, because I feel like this has happened to us in other situations. This isn't just the first time. You're not the only one. This happens to Party in the Park when we go before Lodgers Tax. This happens to Livingston Main Street for some of our events as well. I feel like I mean, if we're discussing and you guys have changed the evaluation and the formula, then why isn't it a discussion or a conversation about how this process works? Because yeah, it does put people that are hosting events in bad situations or in weird situations when we can't market and advertise like we should be able to because we're hanging on by a thread.
So what are you suggesting?
I mean, doing it literally when the quarter starts is probably not the best option to start with. I mean, even if we're changing our dates, at least.
Well,
at
you
the
know,
launch.
4th of July, we're always meeting at, we have, we're meeting at the beginning of the quarter.
Yeah, well, I mean, we do,
And
but we're
so
not supposed to.
that's-
You're only
yes.
supposed to be requesting.
When they
for the
request for
quarter,
4th
which
of
is
July, they have to request it, the quarter report.
In January.
She just said they're not supposed to do that, request.
Yeah, that's why everybody
Right.
requests during that quarter. That's why,
Maybe
We may
you
have
could-
to change it.
I would-
We were gonna change all our evaluations.
It just makes
Well, I
sense.
think that if we had, like, when Shannon brings out the yearly calendar, if we just put when the dates are that we're gonna, Lodgers Tax is gonna need.
Yeah, make it fall so that it's before.
So before the quarter starts, before the commission meeting, before the quarter, so we can kind of, and it's kind of difficult to distribute second quarter funds in the first quarter because we really don't know what the second, I mean, we have budget, but then it gets different, so.
Can you rewrite it where you're distributing?
Yeah,
First quarter funds were.
I don't think it'd be good
Because they meet in like the middle
Because
of
you know,
the
like right now, people are starting to make Christmas stuff.
I don't know.
Yeah, I know, that's what I was just saying. See, we should have already had,
Because
Just like my deal for Eddy County for December,
Mhm.
it goes next week. And I mean,
Yeah.
that's for December.
Can you,
in the
but
chamber, just
Be proactive.
I don't know if you can do that, if you can set the budget.
I know Hod does one meeting in the early year, like.
Yeah, they do it for
beginning
the
of
whole
the
year.
And I know,
Yeah, they got more money than we do.
yeah, well, I understand that, but I'm just saying, there has to be a better way for our deadlines to actually match.
I agree.
This happens,
Well, I'll discuss that
we're not
later.
the only one.
Because your event's coming up
Yeah.
2 weeks, her events are like right after your
We
event.
should be acting over.
That's it. I mean, it's hard to, I mean, the part of me is like, I just want to call these people and tell them I ain't doing this because it's going to be, because I feel like if you don't have the advertisement and the marketing, it's not going to be a successful story. It's like I have a gentleman that does a show in Hobbs and he does nothing. Well, all of his vendors are coming to me because he doesn't advertise. And it's, you know.
No, we'll
it
get
makes
it,
hard.
we'll get it figured out.
That, I mean, I can make it work with, even if I have to pay for some of it because I just.
Yeah, hopefully you can, hopefully it'll be great then. So, all right, Kelly.
Anything else?
Move to adjourn.
Yes.
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 I go.
When I schedule a meeting,